Meghan and Harry are constantly doing damage to the royal family, and it seems intentional. If it's not intentional, it's then a reflection on their recklessness and perhaps lack of intelligence in how they deal with these things.
There's been conflicting reports whether or not he met with also Prince Charles and Duchess Camilla. Do you have any insight of if that actually happened?
So I can't tell you for certain, but I had heard that there was a meeting with Prince Charles as well, and that Camilla was there. Some people have said Camilla was there to keep an eye on what was said and what wasn't said so that it can't be disputed, let's say, for example, in an upcoming book or a Netflix series. I think if there were extra people in the room, there is that possibility that, you know, the agreements on what was said, well, it's easier to come to them. Let's say recollections wouldn't vary if there were more of them in the room at the time, to use the Queen's famous phrasing from after the big interview that was done just after they quit the UK and then moved to America. So I think that what I've heard is that they did meet, that it was a very short meeting and that it was only about 10 minutes long, that they were in fact late for it, is certainly what some reports have said, which again seen by some as a measure of disrespect. The royal family, the working royals, those who still have their working royal responsibilities, are very busy people. They have very, very tight timetables. For example, Prince Charles and Camilla were going to the Maunday celebrations just after this meeting, and so that obviously would have limited how long they could spend together in such a meeting if it happened. And it's said also that one of the reasons that they did meet with Prince Charles was that it was insisted that he should be able to meet with them in order to try and sort things out a bit. And I think that's interesting, because if we think back to what happened when they quit originally, Prince Charles was very involved then. I think not just as his father, but also as the next in line to the throne, and as really part of the firm, as he's taken on an enormous amount of responsibility as the heir to the throne these days. With the Queen at her age and in her condition, a lot of the duties are being shared, especially with Prince Charles. And I think that he was seen as one of the people to have put in place some of the arrangements and to have discussed and negotiated over Megxit, as it became known, when they left. And similarly, perhaps he's now quite keen to know what's going to be said in this upcoming book. It's obviously something that will be worrying the royal family quite a lot, but in particular it might well be worrying him, because there have been rumours about him. The couple have made those allegations of racism in that interview. So I think that Prince Charles might have wanted to discuss with his son what he's intending to write in the book. I don't think he will have necessarily got a lot of information out of him, because I'm sure that the contract with the publishers will specify what he can and can't tell people ahead of publication as well. Also, I think if Prince Harry is going to do the dirty, let's say, if he is going to lay into his father, the future King of Britain, and other key members of the royal family, even his stepmother, then I think he's unlikely in a face-to-face meeting with them to tell them what he's going to do in advance. Perhaps if that's what he's going to do in the book, he'll be relying on maximum shock impact when it comes out in order to get those column inches, book sales, and to earn that massive advance and the massive book deal.
Definitely. And, you know, Prince William was not in attendance. We had reporting that he was on a ski vacation. Do you know any more about that? And, we heard that they're probably trying to get back on better terms. Maybe that if he does come to the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in June, maybe they will finally get together. Who knows?
I think it must be very difficult for Prince William and generally for the royal family, because there is that urge, presumably, for them to meet up, to reconcile, or to start at least to make some kind of peace between them, even if they're not going to be as close as they might once have been. But that's got to be tempered by the considerations they will have in their minds all the time of the damage that can be done, because let's not put too fine a point on it. Meghan and Harry are constantly doing damage to the royal family, and it seems intentional. If it's not intentional, it's then a reflection on their recklessness and perhaps lack of intelligence in how they deal with these things. So either way, whether it's deliberate or not deliberate, they are doing this damage, and the royal family are in the business of damage limitation for their reputation. So they will want to make sure that if there is a meeting lined up, it's going not to be leaked to the press. What's said needs to be thought about very carefully in case it is leaked. And I think that applies for Prince William very much. And that must hurt a lot for a brother who was once very close to Prince Harry. I think it must be very difficult on a personal level to feel that you want to make some sort of peace, yet you're worried about how you can do it, whether every overture you make will be reported, twisted, leaked, talked about in a way that isn't really helpful either for you or for rebuilding that relationship. So I would say they'll be treading very carefully. But of course, yeah, I imagine at some point they are going to meet up again. They did meet up for the unveiling of the Diana statue, and they seemed cordial. There was, polite behavior between the two of them, but also plenty of people noted that they didn't seem that close either. And that might just be the way things go in the future. I think lots of people watching will know from their own families, sometimes you're closer with siblings or other members of the family than at other times in your life. And what I always say when we're chatting about this is, yes, it's the royal family, and yes, they have a public position, but they're also real people. Yeah. They're also a real family. These are real brothers who've been through difficult things as well as amazing, privileged moments in their lives. And I think that for them, there are just as many complexities and layers and tensions in their relationship as there probably are for many other people that need to be navigated carefully.
Definitely.